Human adaptation did not end with Europe or the familiar narratives of cold and light. Across Asia, Africa, the Americas, and Oceania, populations face challenges just as extreme and develop solutions just as elegant. Desert heat that kills in hours, humidity that breeds 1,000 diseases, altitudes where oxygen itself becomes scarce. Rainforests are dense with parasites, frozen southern coasts where the wind never stops. Each environment demanded specific biological answers, and evolution delivered with precision. The ancestries we explore now represent the final chapter in humanity's global adaptation story. From the rice-powered metabolisms feeding billions to the immune systems forged in pathogen-dense jungles, from the oxygen masters of multiple highland regions to the endurance genetics that crossed continents on foot, to the marine-adapted populations who thrived at Earth's southern extreme, these are not lesser-known ancestries. They are the majority of humanity, carrying advantages shaped by Earth's most demanding environments. Let's decode the genetic strengths written into these global lineages. South Asian ancestry. It reflects thousands of years of adaptation to intense tropical climates and agricultural diets centered on grains. Across India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, populations evolved to handle both scorching plains, where temperatures exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and monsoon humidity that breeds disease. This created a physiology optimized for heat dispersal and carbohydrate metabolism at an unmatched scale. The physical adaptation is immediately visible. Lean builds with slender limbs achieve high surface area to volume ratios. This enables efficient heat loss through the skin. Such a body design prevents dangerous core temperature rises in conditions where stockier builds would overheat. It is the original built-in cooling system, engineered long before fans or air conditioning. This allows sustained physical labor and heat that would incapacitate cold-adapted populations. Genetically, the defining advantage lies in the copy number of the AMI1 gene. The AMI1 gene produces amylase, an enzyme that helps break down starchy foods into simpler sugars for digestion. While most populations carry 2 to 3 copies of this gene, many South Asian groups carry 6, 8, or even 10 copies. This leads to much higher amylase production, allowing the body to efficiently digest grains such as rice, wheat, and millet. Some groups also developed partial lactose tolerance, the ability to digest milk sugar, especially in northern regions with strong herding traditions, creating remarkable dietary flexibility across the subcontinent. Modern challenges emerge when efficiency meets excess. The same metabolisms that thrived on whole grains now face refined carbohydrates and processed sugars. South Asian populations show increased diabetes and heart disease risk even at lower body weights than European populations. Still, South Asian ancestry demonstrates adaptation at the population scale. 1.5 billion people running metabolisms, fine-tuned by the oldest crops of agriculture. Southeast Asian ancestry carries adaptations to one of Earth's most oppressive environments: hot, humid, tropical forests. Here, the air feels like warm soup, and sweat refuses to evaporate. Populations from Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Myanmar evolved compact, lean physiques engineered for heat shedding when conventional cooling fails. The key is body geometry. Shorter average stature and slender builds maximize surface area relative to body mass, allowing heat to radiate away from the core more efficiently. In environments where humidity prevents sweat from evaporating, the body's primary cooling mechanism fails. The solution evolution provided was structural, building smaller frames that lose heat through radiation and convection rather than relying solely on evaporative cooling. Internally, these populations excel at electrolyte management. Constant sweating and high humidity can quickly deplete sodium, potassium, and other crucial salts. However, genetic adaptations in kidney function and cellular salt channels allow the body to retain electrolytes, even during extreme fluid loss. This prevents the muscle cramps, confusion, and heart irregularities that plague heat-exposed individuals without this adaptation. Many Southeast Asian groups share the AME1 starch processing advantage. This reflects centuries of rice and root crop agriculture. Modern complications mirror those across tropical adaptations. Bodies designed for heat struggle and cold, with lower cold tolerance than temperate climate populations. Vitamin D deficiency emerges when indoor lifestyles eliminate sun exposure. Still, Southeast Asian ancestry stands as proof that the human body can be engineered to survive seemingly inhospitable conditions. Small frames offer big ventilation capacity. Middle Eastern and North African ancestry. This ancestry tells a story of persistence in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments, the desert. From Arabia to Morocco, and from the Levant to Egypt, populations evolved systems that conserve water with miserly precision. They resist heat that reaches lethal levels and extract nourishment where agriculture seems impossible. The kidney became the centerpiece of adaptation. Desert populations developed extraordinary renal efficiency, concentrating urine to levels that would indicate dehydration in other populations, but represent normal function here. Every drop of water is recycled, reclaimed, and conserved. Sweat responses balance cooling against fluid loss, producing just enough moisture to prevent overheating, while minimizing the precious water expenditure that could mean death in environments where the next drink might be days away. Perhaps the most consequential adaptation is lactase persistence, the ability to digest milk into adulthood. This trait emerged independently here, driven by herding cultures that relied on goats, sheep, and camels. In an environment where crops fail and water is scarce, milk was not just nutrition but hydration disguised as food. It provided calories, protein, calcium, and crucially, fluid. Additional genetic variants promote salt retention, crucial in climates where constant sweating depletes sodium. Modern life has inverted ancient advantages. Water conservation genes once saved lives during drought. Now, those same genes contribute to hypertension when salty processed foods provide excess sodium. Still, Middle Eastern and North African ancestry remains a testament to human resilience biology, built to endure when the world burns and to conserve when the environment refuses to give. Khoisan ancestry. Khoisan ancestry represents one of humanity's oldest and most versatile genetic lineages. It is a reservoir of diversity that has endured in southern Africa for tens of thousands of years. Populations, including the San, Khoi, and related groups, do not carry a single dramatic adaptation. Instead, they possess an extraordinary breadth of genetic variation. This gives them the widest biological toolkit of any human population. The power lies not in specialization, but in diversity itself. Other populations evolved narrow genetic solutions to specific problems, thereby reducing variation. Khoisan lineages retained ancient human diversity. This functions as a biological hedge against uncertainty. When climates shift, foods change, or new diseases emerge, some individuals almost always possess genetic variants suited to the new challenge. It is evolution's diversified portfolio. This approach is less vulnerable to any single catastrophic change. This diversity manifests in multiple systems. Metabolic flexibility, meaning the body's ability to switch between different food sources, allows efficient use of both high-protein hunting diets and plant-based gathering foods. Some individuals exhibit exceptional fat storage in specific patterns, including steatopigia, characterized by prominent fat deposits on the buttocks that buffer against seasonal scarcity. Kidney function shows adaptations to semi-desert landscapes, concentrating urine efficiently while maintaining electrolyte balance. Immune genetics display remarkable breadth, with diverse HLA, human leukocyte antigen, types providing recognition of numerous pathogens, reflecting 50,000 years of continuous exposure to African diseases. Modern challenges stem from limited historical exposure to Old World diseases when European contact introduced novel pathogens. Yet Khoisan ancestry stands as humanity's living archive, proof that genetic breadth itself constitutes an enduring advantage, that the oldest solution to an uncertain world is maintaining the capacity to meet any challenge. Mesoamerican ancestry. Mesoamerican ancestry spans from southern Mexico through Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. This reflects adaptation to a unique environmental mosaic where tropical lowlands meet volcanic highlands. Both regions demanded distinct survival strategies. The Maya, Aztec, Olmec, and related populations evolved not for a single climate, but for movement between extremes, steaming coastal jungles and cool mountain plateaus. The defining metabolic adaptation centers on maize, the crop that became the foundation of civilization here. For over 7,000 years, agriculture revolved around corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters that together provided complete nutrition. Genetic variants affecting carbohydrate processing evolved specifically around maize metabolism, different from the general starch adaptations of rice-eating populations. The process of nixtamalization, treating corn with lime to release niacin and improve protein availability, created additional selective pressure for digestive systems that optimized this nutritionally enhanced grain. Physical builds reflect environmental diversity. Compact, Muscular frames provided strength for terraced agriculture on steep volcanic slopes while maintaining heat tolerance for lowland cultivation. This body type balanced the power needed for intensive farming with the cooling capacity required for tropical heat. Altitude flexibility allowed populations to move seasonally between climate zones without the altitude sickness that affects unadapted individuals. Immune systems faced a double challenge: both tropical diseases of the lowlands and temperate infections of the highlands. This required broad pathogen recognition, resulting in diverse HLA profiles similar to those of other crossroads populations. The result was resilience against the specific disease ecology of Mesoamerica, from jungle parasites to highland respiratory infections. Modern vulnerabilities emerged catastrophically during European contact. Limited exposure to Old World diseases like smallpox and measles left populations devastated, as immune systems calibrated for New World pathogens encountered entirely novel threats. Additionally, metabolisms optimized for the labor-intensive milpa agricultural system struggle with sedentary modern lifestyles and processed foods. Still, Mesoamerican ancestry stands as a testament to adaptability, populations engineered not for one environment but for the constant negotiation between multiple ecological zones. Andean Highlander ancestry. Andean Highlander ancestry, primarily found among Quechua and Aymara populations of Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador, represents humanity's most extreme high-altitude adaptation. At elevations exceeding 3,000 meters, where oxygen levels drop to 60% of sea level concentrations, these populations developed a biological solution mechanistically distinct from both Tibetan and East African highland genetics, a third independent evolutionary answer to the same lethal problem. The adaptation is visible in the body structure. Barrel chests house lungs with 20 to 30% greater capacity than lowland populations, allowing more air intake with each breath. Hearts are larger, pumping more blood per beat to compensate for lower oxygen saturation. Red blood cell counts run high, but unlike lowlanders who develop dangerous blood thickness at altitude, Andean highlanders maintain healthy viscosity through additional genetic modifications that prevent clotting complications. Oxygen utilization pathways operate with remarkable efficiency. Muscles contain elevated myoglobin, the protein that stores oxygen in tissue, allowing sustained work even as blood oxygen remains lower than that of lowlanders would tolerate. Mitochondria, the cellular power plants, extract maximum energy from limited oxygen through enhanced enzyme activity. Pregnant women maintain successful pregnancies at altitudes where lowland mothers would miscarry. Their placentas are adapted to function in oxygen scarcity. Dietary adaptations parallel the altitude genetics. Thousands of years of cultivating potatoes, quinoa, and other Andean crops created digestive and metabolic systems optimized for these specific starches and proteins. The body processes highland crops with efficiency unmatched in populations without this agricultural heritage. Modern challenges include the reverse of the advantage. Descended to sea level, the high red blood cell counts advantageous at altitude can become excessive, thickening the blood dangerously. And traditional food systems, disrupted by modern processed alternatives, leave metabolisms confused. Still, Andean ancestry stands as one of evolution's most dramatic engineering solutions, bodies that turn the roof of the world into home. Patagonian ancestry. Patagonian ancestry. Belonging to the indigenous populations of South America's southern extreme, the Tehuelche, Selknam, Yagan, and related groups, represents adaptation to conditions the opposite of tropical, the frozen, wind-scoured coasts and plains at the bottom of the world, where cold comes not from altitude but from latitude and relentless Antarctic winds. These populations evolved in environments that kill through cold and exposure. Unlike Arctic peoples who faced frozen land, Patagonian groups faced frozen coastlines and depended heavily on marine resources, including seals, fish, shellfish, and occasionally beached whales. This created a unique metabolic profile, marine-like in Arctic populations but in southern extreme conditions, with different seasonal patterns and food availability. Physical adaptations reflect cold conservation strategies. Compact, robust builds minimize surface area, reducing heat loss. Shorter limbs keep extremities closer to the warm core, preventing frostbite during extended exposure to Patagonian winds that can exceed 100 kilometers per hour. Subcutaneous fat distribution provides insulation while maintaining mobility necessary for coastal hunting and gathering. Metabolically, high-fat, high-protein marine diets, shaped digestive systems similar to those of Arctic populations but with distinct variations. Genetic variants in fat processing genes enable efficient conversion of marine oils into energy and body heat, whereas the absence of crops means no selection for starch processing efficiency. These populations remained pure hunter-gatherers longer than almost any other group, and their genetics reflect this continuity. Immune systems calibrated for cold weather pathogens and the specific parasites of marine mammals created strong defenses against their local disease ecology. But, like other isolated New World populations, left them vulnerable when European contact introduced novel infections. Modern challenges include extreme rarity. Many Patagonian lineages were decimated during colonization, and traditional lifestyles have largely disappeared. Still, Patagonian ancestry represents humanity's reach to the planet's southern edge, proof that even Earth's coldest, windiest inhabited regions could be made home through genetic adaptation. Central Asian ancestry. Central Asian ancestry traces back to the nomads of the steppes, the vast grasslands where the horizon never ends, and survival demanded stamina, endurance, and resilience. Mongols, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and others who lived where grass meets sky developed bodies built for constant motion, extreme temperatures, and diets dominated by meat and dairy from livestock. Generations on horseback shaped distinctive physiology. Broad chests house large lungs capable of efficient oxygen use across endless plains and at the moderate altitudes common to Central Asian plateaus. Powerful legs and core muscles supported hours of riding daily, creating builds that combined strength with endurance. Cold winters and scorching summers require metabolic flexibility, systems that generate heat efficiently in winter and dissipate heat in summer. Genetically, many Central Asian groups carry adaptations for both altitude and high-protein diets. Digestive systems process heavy meat and dairy consumption, kumis, fermented mare's milk, butter, and mutton as daily fuel rather than occasional indulgence. Lactase persistence reaches high frequencies, particularly in herding populations. Centuries of contact with diverse populations and livestock forged rugged immune systems, broad pathogen recognition from constant exposure to animal diseases, and travelers crossing the Silk Road. Modern challenges emerge when nomadic metabolisms meet sedentary lifestyles. Bodies designed for constant physical exertion face metabolic dysfunction when confined to offices. Still, Central Asian ancestry stands as a testament to endurance, the original functional fitness built not in gyms, but across landscapes where rest was a luxury evolution could not afford. East African Highlander ancestry. In the highlands of Kenya and Ethiopia, above 2,000 meters, where oxygen is scarce, populations achieve something remarkable. The Kalenjin, Oromo, Amhara, and related groups thrive at altitudes that leave lowlanders gasping, yet their adaptation differs fundamentally from both Tibetan and Andean highland genetics. Where Tibetans suppress hemoglobin and Andeans increase it substantially, East African Highlanders maintain near sea-level hemoglobin concentrations, while extracting oxygen with astonishing efficiency through mechanisms that researchers still debate. Possibly greater capillary density, perhaps faster oxygen diffusion across lung membranes, and possibly muscle mitochondria working in overdrive. The exact answer remains elusive, but the result is undeniable. Off-the-shelf engines delivering championship-level performance. This manifests most dramatically in distance running. Kenyan and Ethiopian dominance in marathons is not merely cultural, it is genetic. Slender lower legs reduce the energy cost of each stride. High lung capacity processes maximum air. Slow twitch muscle fibers dominate, built for sustained effort rather than explosive speed. Studies on Kalenjin runners specifically show exceptional running economy, maintaining pace while consuming less oxygen than competitors. Trade-offs include strain on pregnancy at altitude and kidney function, operating under stress in low oxygen environments. Still, in the thin air of East African mountains, evolution wrote a lesson into muscle, blood, and lung. Endurance is not brute force but efficiency, doing more with less. Melanesian and Papuan ancestry. Melanesian and Papuan ancestry carries humanity's rarest genetic inheritance, the highest proportion of Denisovan DNA, an extinct human species that disappeared 40,000 years ago. Up to 6% of the genome in populations from Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and surrounding regions comes from these ancient relatives, compared to 0% in most global populations. This is not trivia, it is active biology. Denisovan DNA segments appear concentrated in immune system genes, shaping responses to parasites, viruses, and the microbial richness of equatorial terrain. These archaic genetic variants provide defenses against tropical diseases that fully modern human genes alone might struggle to combat. The ancient admixture became a biological advantage, enabling descendants to fight pathogens that their pure Homo sapiens ancestors could not. Physically, this ancestry shows some of Earth's darkest natural pigmentation. Rich melanin shields DNA from extreme ultraviolet radiation, protecting folate reserves and preventing deep tissue damage. Another remarkable feature is naturally blonde hair in some Melanesian populations, not from European admixture but from a completely independent mutation in the TYRP1 gene. Evolution created the same visible trait twice through different genetic pathways. Textbook convergent evolution at the human level. Modern trade-offs are significant. Very high melanin levels dramatically reduce vitamin D synthesis. Specialized immune systems can overreact in different environments, increasing the risk of autoimmunity. Still, Melanesian and Papuan ancestry stands as a living bridge to humanity's deep past, carrying genetic gifts from species that no longer walk Earth. Aboriginal Australian ancestry. Aboriginal Australian ancestry begins in one of the world's harshest testing grounds, the Australian continent, where scorching days exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit and cold desert nights drop below freezing. For over 50,000 years, populations have adapted to extremes that would have eliminated less specialized lineages. Physical design creates maximum heat dispersal. Tall, slender frames with exceptionally long limbs provide surface area for releasing warmth during blazing days, while precise vascular control conserves heat during cold nights. Lean builds avoid metabolic heat production that stockier frames generate. Skin pigmentation ranks among the deepest globally, shielding against UV radiation so intense it would cause severe burns in lighter-skinned individuals within hours. A fascinating adaptation involves thyroid function. Many groups carry variants that alter heat response, permitting internal temperature to climb higher before activating sweating. In environments where water means survival and the next source might be days away, this delayed sweating conserves precious fluid, a calculated trade-off that prevents dehydration death. Modern vulnerabilities include dramatically reduced vitamin D synthesis despite sunny Australia, a shift from traditional outdoor lifestyles to indoor ones, and a muted fever response that can mask infections. Still, Aboriginal Australian ancestry stands as testament to quiet resilience. 50,000 years mastering Earth's harshest inhabited continent, an evolutionary conversation between body and environment written across more generations than almost any other continuous human lineage. From the rice fields of South Asia to the humid forests of Southeast Asia, from the waterless deserts of North Africa to the ancient Khoisan homelands, from the maize terraces of Mesoamerica to the thin air of Andean peaks, from the windswept coasts of Patagonia to the endless steppes of Central Asia, from the marathon highlands of East Africa to the Denisovan-touched islands of Melanesia, from the 50,000-year deserts of Australia, humanity adapted with precision to every extreme Earth could offer. These are not exotic ancestries. They are the majority of humanity, carrying advantages as sophisticated as any lineage, shaped by challenges as extreme as any environment. Your starch processing efficiency, your heat-shedding design, your desert resilience, your genetic diversity, your maize metabolism, your oxygen mastery, your marine fat processing, your nomadic strength, your running economy, your ancient DNA, your thermal regulation. Each is a biological masterpiece refined across thousands of years. These advantages still shape you today. How you process rice or corn, how you handle heat or altitude or cold, how quickly your immune system mobilizes, how your muscles perform, all trace back to the specific environments your ancestors conquered. So, which ancestry flows through your veins? Do you recognize these advantages in your own body? Drop your heritage in the comments and tell me which hidden strength you never connected to your genetics. This completes our 3-part journey through human genetic ancestry. Check parts 1 and 2 for additional global lineages. Together, we've covered 27 ancestries, the most comprehensive breakdown of human genetic advantages ever assembled. Your ancestry isn't just history. It's an active advantage, written in your DNA and expressed every day. And now you know exactly which tools evolution gave you. Thanks for watching. See you at the next one.